Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to...
You people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
You only have 3 rules. First, do your part. Second, never harm another Glader. Most importantly, never go beyond those walls.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. You will be surprised to see that we're live at 8 o'clock on the 21st of September, an hour before we normally go live, because I'm in charge this week and there is no Andrew, and so I've sort of roped Stuart to help me.
Yep, I am actually roped as well, so I won't be doing much typing, but hello again, Stu.
It's just nice that I've got somebody who can help me, because I've attempted to do the show before on my own. And trust me, doing a podcast on your own is okay if you've got a guest. Doing a live show on your own, though, is such a painstaking thing to do.
You want to try doing live Q&A panels? That tests your ability to make stuff up on the spot, I can tell you.
But at least you've got like an audience to react on and somebody like looking at you. When you're doing a live show on your own, all you're looking at is screens with words written on there. Hopefully people in the live chat would join in with the conversation. You've got nobody to relay off.
And hopefully Skype's working, because apparently it's been down for the majority of the day. So yay, welcome back Skype.
Yeah, so I'm just glad that Skype's working. I'm glad that I've got a co-host for this week, and I'm glad that we actually live at 8 o'clock, which is earlier than we normally are, and there is a show. So there is a show, evidently, and we're here to review films. Well, I'm here to review films. You're here to chime in with your 2 penny thoughts.
I'm just here to keep you company, really, I think.
Pretty much so, yeah. And so in the cinema section, there is only one film this week, even though I was supposed to have seen another film. But remember, I'm on my own reviewing movies, so I'm not a movie reviewing kind of robot.
No, you can't possibly watch more than one film a week either. That's just not right. That's obsessive.
Yeah, which I have actually watched more than one film a week, because I caught up on a couple of films as well. But in the cinema section, we're looking at this film.
Everest, the mountainy climbing one.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says on the poster. Everest, the mounty climb you on.
It does. Yep.
And on Blu-ray and DVD, we're looking at these films.
Infinity, John Wick, Samuel Jackson in Big Game, Muck, and I'm sure it's going to be Stu Miller's best film of the year. It has to be, doesn't it? Pitch Perfect 2.
And on top of that, we have John Wick as well, which you've actually seen, haven't you? So I will definitely get your thoughts on that.
I have.
There is TV Movie of the Week, the Blu-ray and DVD Top 10, the UK Box Office Top 10, some movie news. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner of this screen, you'll see a little chat bubble. Click on that and you can join us in the live chat. Be nice in there. I might as well get the spiel out the way with it at the start of the show. Make sure you check out the website, mondaymovieshow.co.uk, facebook.com/Monday Movie Show, and at Monday Movie Show on Twitter. I'm at Cryptic Tadpole, and you are...
I'm at From Page to Screen on everything. That's the number 2, not the word 2.
Yeah, and just put a .com on the end there, and you'll find your fantastic website.
Yay.
Which is very helpful to people out there in the movie world, because the amount of information that you divulge and press releases you get and things like that, you bombard not just your site but Twitter, so people know.
Exactly.
It's helpful though.
I put up an interview that I did over email with Adrian Annis, who's an actor, and he actually played one of the Death Eaters in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. So I spent probably an evening sitting there swapping emails with Adrian, just firing questions at him, and then tailoring it into an interview. So that was a lot of fun. So that's on the website.
Yeah, and you've been to Sci-Fi Wales as well, weren't you?
I have. I felt like I lived at Sci-Fi Wales. I have got something like 500 gig worth of content from there, which I've got to go through at some point when I get my computer rebuilt. But we're not going to talk about computer problems, because you are the king of computer problems at the minute, Stu. Yeah. But I've got a lot of content that is coming from Sci-Fi Wales. So I did 8 Q&A panels in about 7 hours. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you've done a special show as well, haven't you? Your podcast.
Oh, yes, I did it with Fraser. Yeah, I did a podcast with Fraser Cole from Cops and Monsters, where we just sort of closed the door on Sci-Fi Wales and we had a good old chat about Comic-Cons.
And where can people find that?
They can find that, probably links on Twitter from Page to Screen, but if you go onto iTunes or Spreaker or iHeartRadio or whatever, type in From Page to Screen, it will bring up all the links.
Yeah, cool. Right, let's kick things off on the Monday Movie Show with some movie news now. Lovely. Paul Feig has announced that the Ghostbusters has finished shooting and that Ernie Hudson, who played Winston Zeddemore in the original 2 films, and Annie Potts, who played Janine in the original 2 films, will be making an appearance.
Yay. That's kind of like yay that they're making an appearance, not yay for the new Ghostbusters film, if I'm being totally accurate.
Yeah, it's sort of like Following the Nerd is the site that I'm involved with. And we sort of like got so sick and tired of people bemoaning at the series, even including ourselves, the fact that, it's all female Ghostbusters, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Now we just thought, let's just give it a bit of slack. Let's just leave it alone until the film comes out or the first trailer comes out, have a little look to see what it looks like, and then start to make our mind up again. Because my problem, and I've always said this, is Paul Feig. I just don't think he's a good comedy director or a good comedy writer. And so I'm slightly giving it the benefit of the doubt. I've got a feeling the film is not going to be very good at all, but we'll just see. Cameos from Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray and Annie Potts, will that help it?
No.
Simple.
Nope.
Simple, straight to the point.
No, it'll just remind people of how amazing the original Ghostbusters was and how this new one, unfortunately, probably isn't going to be it. I think that's the date.
I completely agree with you. It is just going to make people who were fans of the original Ghostbusters series just go, you know what? I was right. Paul Feig has gone and killed it. And what if he does?
I know, and the thing is, it's like, I'm sure both you and I hope it's a really, really good film and it's really funny and it is as good as the original 1984 film. It's just, I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Guillermo del Toro has announced that Pacific Rim 2, or Pacific Rim Maelstrom, is not dead in the water, despite reports last week indicating that the film had been postponed.
Wow. I don't want it to be postponed, I want to watch it.
Yeah, I saw that and I sort of went, no, because I really, really liked Pacific Rim. It's such I saw it 3 times at the cinema. And seeing a film more than once at the cinema is a rare thing for me. Seeing a film 3 times at the cinema is just unheard of for me. But I loved it so much that I saw it in 2D, in 3D, and in IMAX. So I saw it in all formats. And it's just such an entertaining, brain-dead kind of movie, which Del Toro handles brilliantly. That's not to say all of Del Toro's movies are brain-dead, because they're not. It's just got Del Toro's touches of fantasticness and just mysticism and all that kind of stuff with it. And that's why it was so brilliant. I want a sequel.
But then don't forget, a couple of years ago they were saying, nope, it's never going to happen. You're not going to get one. Nope, don't even wish for one. No chance. And now we are getting one. It's just been delayed. So fingers crossed it doesn't keep getting delayed.
Yeah, and Guillermo del Toro doesn't technically do a lot of sequels, or does sequels to any movies that he originally directed. So he did Blade 2, but he didn't direct the first one.
I think Hellboy is the only one I can think of.
Yeah, and because Mimic, he did the first one, he didn't do the second one, or he didn't do Mimic Sentinel. And so there's never been, and will never ever be, hopefully, a sequel to things like Pan's Labyrinth and The Devil's Backbone.
Can you imagine? Pan's Labyrinth 2? No.
I don't think he would do that. They're his babies. So this Pacific Rim 2, like you said, the Hellboy series, would only be Del Toro's second foray into sequel territory.
Yeah.
So, because most of his properties doesn't do that well at the box office, they're just gonna a lot of people going, yeah, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic movie about 5 years down the line.
Yeah. They pick it up on DVD, I think, and Blu-ray and stuff, and then appreciate it.
Yep. Lara Croft is heading back to the big screen with the Tomb Raider reboot. Now, have a guess who the studio want as their first choice director.
Ooh, well, I read this one, so I kind of know the answer, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Catherine Bigelow.
Yeah, that I read that and went, what?
I love Catherine Bigelow, but for a Tomb Raider movie, I don't know if she's a perfect fit for that.
Yeah, that's the thing that made me go, what? Because video game movies, they don't have a good track record, let's just say. I think, in my opinion, the best one so far is Silent Hill. Because I think that's the one which represented the video game the best. The first Resident Evil film's good. I like the first Resident Evil film. Tomb Raider, they're brain dead movies, but they sort of got a Lara Croft feel to them.
Yep.
And I think Angelina Jolie was the right choice for Lara Croft. I thought she actually played her really well. And that's pretty much about it. You've got Duncan Jones's Warcraft movie coming. And so that's supposed to buck the trend and it's supposed to be really good. But Catherine Bigelow directing the Tomb Raider movie?
It is a weird choice. But I think the story was they're going after her to do it. I don't know whether... I think the closest thing that would probably come to Tomb Raider, and it's still kind of nowhere near it, would be the feel of Near Dark. But that's still hardly... Ooh, that reminds me of Tomb Raider. I don't get it. I think the studio want her, but I don't think she'll do it.
Yeah, you look at Bigelow's films as well, and it just doesn't fit into her oeuvre, does it?
No. From the director of The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30 comes Tomb Raider. No, doesn't.
Yeah, played by Maisie Williams.
Yeah. Actually, Maisie Williams might be quite cool as Lara Croft. Give her a couple more years to sort of age into the role, but yeah.
Yeah, and no offense to Angelina Jolie, but they really do need to get the next actress to play Lara Croft. She needs to be British.
Yep, and please, not Gemma Arterton, who's a good actress, but people keep going, she would be amazing as Lara Croft. No.
I think she's slightly too old to play Lara Croft now, considering the way the video games have gone. They've gone back to Lara Croft's roots, and that's how the reboot needs to do it. It needs to go back to her roots, so they need to get like a teenage girl.
Can we start like the Maisie Williams campaign? Or is there already one started?
No, that was just off the top of my head, Maisie Williams.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to tweet that one later on. I'll send it to Maisie, and I'll copy you in on it. Maisie Williams for Lara Croft.
Yeah, and not Catherine Bigelow, no offence, to direct somebody else. I don't know who, but somebody else. Rupert Wyatt has announced that he's no longer directing the Gambit film.
Okay. What do you think about that? Are you like, eh?
Exactly, me.
I'm like meh about a Gambit film, for being honest. I'm kind of burned out on comic book movies lately. Yeah,
Channing Tatum's sort of like trying to get it off the ground. He's been doing that for years and years and years now. I've got a feeling if he can't find a director, he'll just direct it himself.
Paul Feig, get him in.
No, God, no. No more Paul Feig films.
No. Uwe Boll, he'll do it.
I don't think Uwe Boll's allowed to go in any studio ever.
He's certainly not allowed to run a Kickstarter anymore, I don't think.
No, because nobody will actually back it, and whoever backs it are idiots.
Yeah.
And final piece of news is Woody Harrelson has joined the cast of War of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, as a villain, I believe.
Which is interesting choice. I love Woody Harrelson. He's definitely come into his own in the last 5 years.
Favourite Woody film? Mine's Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, I would go with Natural Born Killers as well. I think he's just so creepy in that. Juliette Lewis is amazing in that movie. I love her as an actress. I think she's a very underrated actress, Juliette Lewis. But I would... Natural Born Killers, I probably would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Killer Joe, I loved him in. I thought he was fantastic in Killer Joe.
Killer Joe's amazing. That's like one of my favourite films ever. So,
of the last 5 years for me, but I would have to say Natural Born Killers for Harrelson on that front. And that's it for the movie news. So it's the UK box office top 10. And would you mind doing the duty and reading it out?
I'll read them out. I can manage that. Yep, because you've probably seen more of these than I have, I think. Number 10, Irrational Man. Not even heard of that one.
That's the one. It's one of the films in the top 10 that I've not seen. I know it's directed by Woody Allen. Okay. And it's a Woody Allen comedy, which is very light on the comedy. Andy reviewed it on last week's show. So if you're interested to find out what the film was about, listen to last week's show. He said it was okay. It's not for people who are not much of a Woody Allen fan, which I'm not. I just, for some reason, I can't get into his movies. Annie Hall is probably an exception, because Annie Hall is a classic, and it's a really good classic. It doesn't feel like a Woody Allen film. Whereas I think over the years, his movies have been diluted so much so because he releases a movie every single year, which is impressive. But I have no interest in seeing any of his films.
No, he spits them out, doesn't he? He never does special features because he's like, yeah, whatever. He's busy on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 9, we have The Secret Cinema, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, that's just the Secret Cinema stuff. The Empire Strikes Back.
Everybody's seen Empire Strikes Back.
It's coming to the end of its run now, the Empire Strikes Back Secret Cinema, because it's on that for 100 days. So 5.5 million in time for The Force Awakens at the end of December.
Nice. Now, will George Lucas get some of that 5.5 million? That's the question. Number 8, we have No Escape.
Yeah, No Escape, for me, it just didn't work as a film because it didn't know what kind of movie it wanted to be. The problem with it is the fact that in the first, say, 20 minutes of the movie, it feels like a 12-year film. And you feel like you're going to get something that straddles the edge of a 12-year movie, with maybe a bit of questionable violence in it, and that's about it. It's when the violence starts to happen that it becomes a bit more extreme, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, this is definitely not a 12-year, it's a 15-rated film. So it's it's a movie that's in conflict with itself. Pierce Brosnan's in the movie. He's forgotten about through the most part of it. He appears at the start and then he appears at the end. It's all about Owen Wilson and his family after they have gone over to the Middle East, because that's where his new job is happening, and then they get attacked by terrorists, pretty much. And it just, like I said, the tone of the film doesn't work at all.
Now, how does the tone of number 7's fit into your pixels? This has had a bit of a critical hammering, mainly across Adam Sandler's head, if all the reviews are accurate.
Yeah, have you seen it?
No, I wanted to watch it because the trailers make it look like a fun movie, which movies should be. But then a lot of the American podcasts I was listening to, they were not impressed with this film whatsoever. So I thought I'll wait until I watch it on DVD or Netflix or something.
Yeah, it's not Adam Sandler's worst film this year. That's The Cobbler.
Wow.
The Cobbler is horrendous. It is really horrendous, that film. This is, like I said, it's not as bad as that because of the fact that it's saved by its really good CGI. The CGI of things like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and Centipede and Cubit has actually done really well, even though they're actually called voxels and not pixels. But it's still handled really well. The rest of the film is awful, but it's saved by its good CGI.
Okay. Now, you must like number 6. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. You must like that.
And have you seen it?
I loved it, yep. Tom Cruise is awesome. He just runs from place to place. There's a lot of humour in this one, which I thought was nice enough. Even Tom Cruise was funny, which is pretty good. I haven't seen him do comedy since Tropic Thunder.
Well, for me, though, I think it's okay. It's okay because of the fact that with the previous film, it set up a team dynamic, a proper team dynamic. The film itself seemed to have sort of like sidestepped the first 3 films. And so the next one was all about the team rather than just centering around Ethan Hunt. I know the series is about Ethan Hunt, but it needed to go into a different direction, and that's the way Brad Bird took the previous film. He took it in a slightly different direction, and he said, we've got some superfluous characters who were a part of the first 3 films, but let's make them a little bit more to the forefront and give them a bit more to do. Whereas with Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, that's just thrown out the window, I felt, because the fact that it did seem to just centre around Ethan Hunt again. Now, the opening set piece is breathtaking. It's really well handled.
Yeah.
The rest of the film never lives up to that opening set piece.
No, that is one of the problems, isn't it? Where it's like, wow, what else you got? Yeah, it's like the Saving Private Ryan sort of syndrome, where the opening's so impressive, can the rest of the film live up to it? But you said it's sort of thrown out the window, but Tom Cruise was clinging to the window.
Yeah, but awesome. I just felt like the rest of the film just couldn't handle the opening set piece. And the more it went on, the more it felt like it was dragging. It felt like a film is normally a 3-act movie. You've got each third of the film. Whereas this felt like it had more than that. That they were going, we've got a little bit more to do. We've got a little bit more to do. Let's add a set piece in London now. Let's do this. Let's do that. And so the film itself was dragging a lot, and there's a lot of fat that could have easily been cut away from it. So I think it's a step back from the series rather than what was done by Brad Bird in the previous film.
Little bit of trivia though, the sequence where Tom is clinging to the side of a plane, he did that 8 times, and each take lasted 45 minutes. So that's how long that guy was strapped to the side of a moving plane. Yay,
Ouch.
Bruce. Woo! Number 5, Inside Out.
I loved it. I absolutely loved Inside Out. As I said on last week's show, I have a top 10 film list of the year, and I put a score beside each film. 4 of the 5 films in my top 5 are animated.
Wow.
And this is one of them. Because it's Pixar at their best. When Pixar hits it out of the park, they really do hit it out of the park. It's a movie that speaks to every age group. That's the thing. It never panders down to young children, but it never speaks to adults and go, by the way, we're throwing in a fart joke just so you'll find something funny about it. It will make you regress to what it was like to being a child when you think to yourself, oh, I should have a few more responsibilities. I'm slightly more older. I should be treated a little bit more older. And when you get treated still like a child when you're 15, 16... you get the same kind of reaction as the main character in Inside Out. And so it harkens back to each age group, and it does it brilliantly. So I think it's Pixar's best movie since Up.
Now, what age group does number 4's Straight Outta Compton speak to? Obviously, when it does speak, it speaks in dodgy, sweary language with lots of rap songs. But were you a fan of it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, does it appeal to you? Are you like, I'd actually watch that, or are you thinking I'm not really the demographic for it?
Yeah, I'm not a rap fan, to be honest. No. I just don't find rap music that interesting. It's not my kind of music, considering I'm more of a metalhead. I love rock, I love heavy music rather than rap music. And from what I can gather, and what Andrew has said about the film, he turned around and said that it leaves a lot out.
Oh, of course it does.
There's a lot of conflict. There was a lot of conflict in NWA, and I know who NWA is, and there was a lot of conflict inside of that, and it leaves a lot of that out and Hollywoodizes it.
Yeah, it leaves a lot of the women being beaten up as well, I believe, out of the final cut. But that's what happens when you've got the main stars and the main people it involves being the producers of the film.
Yeah, and the problem is, if you're going to do a movie that it's a biography about something like the NWA and how serious they were about their rap music and how violent they were and how much bad language they used and things like that, you need to go all out with it. You don't need to sugarcoat things. You don't need to make it more like you're watching a Disney film. You need to make it hard-hitting. You need to make it truthful. Because the people who are going to go and see it are fans of NWA, are people who know about the stories. And they're the people who are going to come out of it and think to themselves, actually, what did you create there? You created a 2.5-hour movie with most of the stuff that I know about missing.
So you're getting angry there. You get a little bit angry and a bit ragey. So let's calm it down with a film that I'm sure you loved. Number 3's M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit.
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dongs.
Yes.
He sort of like took a sidestep away from movies for a little while. He sort of like brought himself back in when he directed The Devil. But he did that under a pseudonym. And so he was more producing films rather than directing films. And so by teaming up with somebody like Jason Blum, with only a budget of no more than $5 million, and it's been successful because it took $20 million in its opener weekend in America, you would think that he might sort of like be in a right frame of mind because you've got Jason Blum to help you out. Whereas the movie, if you think that No Escape is a bit of a schizophrenic film, by the fact that it doesn't know what kind of tone is, this one, it's all over the place. It hasn't a clue whether it wants to be a horror film, whether it wants to be a thriller, whether it wants to be a comedy. Because it has parts in the movie which make you laugh, and I think Shyamalan actually intentionally did it that way. There is a scene where the old woman chases after the 2 kids under the house playing hide and seek, and that's intentionally funny. And so that might have worked if it was under better hands, because Shyamalan doesn't know how to direct funny. He knows how to direct a twist in a movie, which he includes in this film as well, which you can see a mile off, but he doesn't know how to direct funny And if you're going to put funny into a horror film where it's all serious, you need to make that funny creepy. And in this case, he just made it annoying because Ed Oxenbould, who plays one of the kids in it, he was in Earth to Echo, and he was tolerable in Earth to Echo. In this, you just want to punch him.
Let's just put him in a maze. Put him in there. So, nice a segue into number 2's The Maze Runner Scorch Trials. I'm a fan of the first one. Will the second one impress me if I quite like the first one?
No.
Oh.
Unfortunately, yeah. It's sort of like the Divergent Insurgent problem. Whereas Divergent set up a really good series because Divergent's a very good film. Shailene Woodley is fantastic in it. Whereas the sequel sort of like threw all of that out the window and just relied too heavily on explosive set pieces. The Maze Runner, I actually quite liked The Maze Runner as well. I thought it was a smart film. It was sort of like reminded me of Lord of the Flies.
Yes.
In a way. More in common with Lord of the Flies than with the Hunger Games. And I just loved it because the group dynamic worked brilliantly. There was always a conflict in there, but the conflict was needed. Because not everybody needed to agree with each other, and you needed somebody to sort of like stand up. And so that it worked really well. With the Scorch Trials only plays a little part in the middle third of the film. The rest of the film is bookended by a part which has got Aidan Gillen in it, which she supposedly set up as the ultimate evil at the start, with them getting out of the maze. Spoilers, but it is a sequel to a film where it directly follows on from the previous movie. And then the last bit, where they've reached this supposed utopia area where they could help them out. And the middle part is the Scorch Trials, which again doesn't work because it throws these zombie-like creatures into the fold, very much like The Last of Us. The cortisone sort of like mushroom plant-like creatures from that. And it doesn't work because they're overly CGI'd, and it thinks that it's a horror film, whereas the first third and the last third thinks it's an action movie. So it's another one of those movies where it's very weird with itself. It doesn't know what it wants to be. And I'm annoyed because it was a series I was looking forward to watching. I'm hoping they bring it back with the third and final part because they're not doing the stupid thing where they're splitting the third bit up into two films. They're not doing that with the Insurgent series neither.
Oh, because they were on about doing it at one point, weren't they, I think?
So Alliant, which is the next one, so it's called the Divergent series Alliant now. And so that one there is not doing that. It's just one film. So it's not the Hunger Games, which the last part of the Hunger Games series is out in November.
Yep.
So I think the Hunger Games still has the crown, because if you watch the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, it's a much more intelligent film than it made itself out to be when you watch it the first time. Because you treat it like the second Hunger Games film, where you need to actually throw that out of your mind and treat it like a different film. When you do that, it's a very smart movie. This is just too much of a popcorn brain-dead film, and that's not the way I was hoping the Maze Runner series would go.
Damn. I was looking forward to that as well. But number 1, I actually went to cinema and watched number 1's film. I was quite impressed. So a part of me has helped this film get to number 1. So Tom Hardy, you are welcome. And Tom Hardy, you are welcome. Legend. Have you seen Legend, Stu?
I have, but I want your thoughts on it first.
I have seen all the Cray films now. I say all the Cray films. I'm going to touch upon one of them later on. I've seen the 1990s Cray with Gary and Martin Kemp. I have seen the documentary The Krays Kill Order, which came out last week. I have seen Rise of the Krays, and I've also seen Legend. So I'm very familiar with the story of the Krays. I think the casting in Legend is amazing, and if he doesn't get an Oscar nom, then I'll be very shocked for either of his roles. But he deserves that. Storyline wise, if I didn't know, because it's very highlighty, it's not like a Rise of the Krays pretty much covers several years. Legend covers a lot of years, and a lot of the time it doesn't come up with the date stamps. So I think if you're not familiar with the story of Ronnie and Reggie Kray, it will probably feel a little bit jumpy. But other than that, Tom Hardy is once again awesome. And Lorraine Stanley from London to Brighton was in it as well. She was the barmaid in The Blind Beggar, so I was so chuffed to see her get some scenes with Tom Hardy. Yay. So I want to know what you thought. Tell me, Stu. You loved it.
the director's previous stuff, he did The
Payback, yeah,
and A Knight's Tale and 42.
Yep.
So he's done a few films, but I think Tom Hardy is really good in the film. He'll not get an Oscar nomination. He
needs one. He's better as the crazy one than the non-crazy one. Even though
I
both
don't think this film will not play very well in America, so he'll not get a nod over there. He might get a chance for a slight nod at the BAFTAs. That's his better hope than it would be there. But I think the film itself will be forgotten because if you take Tom Hardy's performance out of the fold, I know the film itself is all about the careers, but if you just look around the supporting characters around him, so Emily Browning, Taron Egerton, Christopher Eccleston, David Thewlis,
Charlie Merkel. Awesome.
Yeah.
He was a scary blonde looking one. He was in The Governors. He was awesome.
Yeah, so if you look at the supporting characters, they're very weak apart from one, and that's Taron Egerton. Because I quite like Taron Egerton's character. He reminded you a lot of when Tom, sort of like the maniacalness, the sort of like pushy kind of person, and the giggle kind of thing. He's like a hyena from The Lion King or something like that. And I loved his character for that. As it felt slightly different. The rest of the people around it feel like yes men. Or, for example, Christopher Eccleston, who plays the police officer in the film, he pops up only in a couple of scenes, and he does nothing, absolutely nothing in the movie at all. David Thewlis has got one or two scenes, and again, he does very little with what he's given. Paul Bettany is exactly the same.
It's definitely the Tom Hardy show. The Tom Hardy show times 2, actually, since he's playing both twins.
I think the weakest link out of them all is Emily Browning. I think she was by far the weakest link in the entirety of the film. Her voiceover was not needed.
No, I mean, if you watch the Peter Medak one, the Gary Martin Kemp one, the character of Frances wasn't that strong a character anyway, and that's kind of the point. She was under the spell of the craze, and she was a very, very mousy girl who didn't really do a right lot. And that's kind of the character that they based her on.
Yeah, it is kind of the character that it's based on, but you still need somebody strong to be able to pull that off. For not to be annoying or just for you to attach yourself onto her, because she has fell in love with one of the most deplorable people in this country, but you have to feel sorry for her when bad things happen to her, and you don't, because there is a nasty scene in the film which is just never you don't see anything to it, you only hear it. So the film itself is all about Tom Hardy's performance, and I think he did really well as both queer twins, because he handles them with both different personalities, which is the best way to do it. It's a really difficult thing to do.
They are very different, aren't they? It's not like, oh, look, he's wearing glasses, he's the other one. It's the very, very different people in that film.
Yeah, which is the way you needed to do it. You couldn't have played them both with very similar traits, because they weren't like that in real life neither.
No.
But it just didn't add anything to the queer story. And it was overly too long. Way too long. The film itself could have easily been an hour and a half and slightly more interesting. And just when things occur in the film, they're just very mundane. They're not interesting.
I think what would have made the film a little bit better is, like I'd mentioned before, where it covers so many years in just over 2 hours. They should have just focused on a time period and go, let's just cut it down, focus on that part. I agree with that part, which is what Rise of the Craze did. They're like,
rather than just saying, this is what happened. One of them gone to a prison. One of them has just come out of a mental institute. They've opened a bar now. The bar went crazy because one of them was put into prison again, and there was just too much.
I think it would have worked wonderfully if it was maybe a 6-hour miniseries. That type of thing. It would have been better if it was like 4 90-minute episodes or something. Yeah.
In that case, but I don't think Tom Hardy would have committed to that if that was the case.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. But he's in Peaky Blinders, so he does do television.
Yeah, but not like 6 episodes.
No.
So, right. The only cinema release we have of the week is sort of like a movie where you should not fully explain because it might spoil a lot of things, even though it's based on a true events. So I'll try my best not to spoil much of the film itself. But it's Everest. It's directed by Balthazar Komoko. And it centres around... it happens in 1996. and it centers around a climber who's played by Jason Clarke in the film, and he plays Rob Hall. And over the years, Everest was sort of like this huge, massive mountain that was not conquered by very many people. Everest was the first person to actually climb the mountain, and that's who it's named after.
I did not know that, actually. I've actually learned something. I'm going to have to tell Bob that afterwards, and he'll probably say, I knew that, but yeah.
Yeah, the proper pronunciation for it is Everest, but people now, over the years, it's changed with the way other people have heard the name. So we see it as Everest, but it is Everest.
Should we actually call the film Everest now, then?
You can if you want, but I think we're so used to calling Everest.
Yeah.
And so over the years, very few climbers were sort of like not only brave enough, but skillful enough to be able to do that. Until the character who's played by Jason Clarke, he sort of like creates I wouldn't say it's a package holiday because it's not very much of a holiday, but he sort of like creates this tour group where once a year he takes a group of people to try and conquer the big mountain itself. And more and more people attempt this up until the 1996 thing that the film centered around, where 20 groups of people attempted to climb Mount Everest. And so this centres around the group of people that is led by Jason Clarke, which features characters played by John Hawkes and Nakamori. Sam Worthington's in there as well, and you've got Josh Brolin and Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of the other guys, and it's their attempt to try and climb it. And every one of them has their own reason. Every one of them has their own story. Here's a clip.
It hurts. It's dangerous. It destroys relationships. It's costing you all a small fortune.
Are there any negative aspects?
Come on, I gotta ask the question. You know I do. Why?
Why?
Because it's there.
That's why. Thank you, Mr. Mallory.
Come on, guys. I'm serious. Doug. Why?
Come on, tell them about the kids.
What?
Tell them about the kids.
Yeah.
Who's kids? You have kids?
Yeah, I have kids. So I was thinking maybe it's, they see a regular guy can, follow impossible dreams. Maybe they'll be inspired to do the same, I guess.
Now, if you know the story about what happened on May 10th, you know that, and this is not spoiling very much because it is actually in the trailer, when some of them managed to get to the top of Everest, a big, huge, massive storm occurs, and it's up to Rob Hall to try and get people down and survive. And that's where I'm going to leave the synopsis of the film itself, because, like I said, it is based on true events. And so if you know about it, then fine. But some people might not know about it. There are movies that are based on true events where people go in it blind and they don't know about what happened. There probably are still people out there who didn't know the Titanic sank.
Annette's daughter didn't know. She didn't know Titanic was real. So true story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, apart from the sequel where it was about a mutant ship.
Yeah.
So there are true stories out there which people don't know about. So it's best to not try and spoil them. The film itself is a bit of a mixed bag in a way, because the group dynamic works really well. You'll want to follow the plight. Even though I didn't know about the incident that happened, I was still sort of like interested in the film. And the thing that keeps you there is not only just the group dynamic, is the cinematography. It's fantastically shot. The camera knows about movement. The camera feels like a character in the film. Which, when you've got a film like this, it needs to be like that. It needs to move around and follow the group, but it also needs to get into shots where you would never expect somebody to be able to. There is a fantastic, sort of like breathtaking scene which involves the group going across from one part of the mountain, a gap, to the other part, and they have to walk across a makeshift bridge, which is done by a ladder and some rope. Now, one of the characters falls, he slips, and the camera itself goes under this bridge. Now, that shot would have been a nightmare to get, but the way it's handled is just done brilliantly. When the storm occurs as well, you feel the impact because the sound of the film works alongside the cinematography. So you feel the chills, you feel the coldness. When you see them suffer in the snow and in the storm, you feel it. The performances are also really well handled. Jason Clarke is fantastic in the film. I think the person who steals the show is Emily Watson. I love Emily Watson. I think she's a fantastic British actress. And she steals the show because she adds depth to the whole... everybody on board. She's sort of like the mother figure. She's there to look after the people involved. There are some negatives with the movie. Keira Knightley, she plays the wife of Rob Hall, and she's a bit of a throwaway character. She's only there maybe to add a bit of the sort of like human element to it, where it involves an incident happen, and she's pregnant and she wants her husband to come back, so she's only there for that. You've also got a character played by Jake Gyllenhaal, who's sort of like the humorous bit of the film, and I think his character is sort of like misused in the movie. He's not handled very well. Overall, though, I think the film is actually a pretty decent movie. It's not one of those disaster films where it's brain dead, because it is a disaster. It's more of a drama element on that front, but I thought the film was very well made. Slightly too long. Could have had parts of it cut out. The way it ends is very abrupt, and it's not very well handled. But for the most part, I thought the film itself was very well done.
Now, you mentioned that it felt a little bit too long and parts could have been cut out. I know for a fact that a lot of it actually was cut out, because you'll have heard me mention the film Allies before. There's a guy in that called Chris Riley, and he was awesome, and he's in Everest, and a lot of his scenes were cut out of Everest. So I don't know how long the original cut was, but pretty hefty, I gather.
Yeah, I'm sort of like, from what I've been hearing as well, that the 3D is really well done. I'm sort of interested to go and see it in 3D, because I'm not a fan of 3D. I just don't think the 3D in films is done very well at all. But from what I've heard, seeing this on something like an IMAX screen in 3D is probably the best way to see it.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of like, I'm off work now for a week. I don't have any work to do, so I don't have that to worry about for a whole joyful week. So I need a reason to do something, and maybe he's going to the cinema to see Everest for a second time, but going to see it in 3D might be an interesting idea.
Could well be. Yep.
Because I wonder what it would be like on IMAX as well.
Pretty amazing, I would have thought. I think that's perfectly done for IMAX.
But do you have any intentions to actually try and catch this film, going to see it?
I do. Annette and I went to the cinema the other week, and we just showed up. And it was about 5 o'clock, and we looked and we thought, if there's a showing of Everest starting pretty soon, we'll go watch it. If there isn't, we'll just turn around and go away. And it was going to be 3.5 hours before the screening, so I thought, well, I don't really want to loiter around the cinema for 3.5 hours. So we actually did go with the intention of watching it, but we didn't manage to. So we're going to try and catch a screening at some point. Looks good.
While you're on holiday in Mexico.
While I'm on holiday in Mexico, I just want to wave at Chris Riley and go, "Hey, he's freezing!" You know.
That'll be an interesting sort of like go between Mexico, hot. You go in to see a movie about Everest.
It will. I mean, Annette and I are going away for 2 weeks, and I don't know whether I'm more excited about going to Mexico for 2 weeks all inclusive, or going on a 10-hour plane flight that will have movies playing. I don't. It's 50-50. I really want to watch lots and lots of films.
Well, so you've got a 10-hour plane flight to go. On Friday, I'm going to Southampton, and even though it's in the UK, it's still an 8-hour train journey.
Yes.
So I've got 8-hour train journey to suffer through. I don't have in-flight movies.
Do you have a tablet, something that you can fill up?
I do have a Nexus tablet. Nexus are not sponsoring the show, but if they want to, then by all means, throw us a few tablets our way. Yep. But I do have that, and I will be downloading a few films to watch on it. I've got... it's probably not the best place to actually watch the film, but I've got a few films that should never be watched on a tablet because they're meant to be watched on a big screen.
Yeah.
So I think I might see if I can download a couple of small films, a couple of catch-up movies. But
get some comedies or something, because they're always okay on a tablet.
Yeah, but Everest is not one of those movies which needs to be watched on a tablet.
Star Wars, no, not at all.
It's big in scope, so it is one of those films where I think it would work brilliantly on an IMAX screen. And I would love... I haven't been to an IMAX cinema for a while. The last film I saw was the last Transformers movie, an IMAX. Shame on me. But yeah, I'm sort of like slightly tempted to go and see this, and so after the show I might dig around my listings and find a place where I might be showing it in IMAX.
Nice. Last IMAX film I watched was Avatar, so long time ago.
Unlucky you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it for the cinema section of the show. We'll be back in a moment with the Blu-ray and DVD section. We're playing an advert for one of your shows that you do.
Really? Which show?
It's a show that I'm involved with, so it's the horror show.
I love the horror show. We do that once a month. I wish we did it more than once a month, but there's just not enough time to get all the stuff watched.
Exactly. It's the show that we have more guests on as well, isn't it?
It is. Yep.
And so we're trying our best to get a guest together for the next show, but more into that anyway. Just check out From Page 2, number 2 screen on Twitter, and you'll find out more details on there. But here's an advert for it, and we'll be back in a moment.
There was a real sense of you were doing something wrong, but that did give it that feeling of excitement.
When the reveal of the film happens, that's when it just becomes absurd.
And the atmosphere and just the sense you get whenever you go into it is undeniable.
It did absolutely zero for me, which could be for the hype.
What we've just discussed there is just scratching the surface on it.
Hi, I'm Eric England, the director of Contracted, and you're listening to From Page to Screen, the horror show.
And we're back. We're into the home release section of the show where we're looking at these films.
Infamy. I was going to make that joke where you go, infamy, somebody's got it in for me, but it doesn't quite work.
They've all got it in for me. I can't believe you got that joke wrong.
We've got Infamy, John Wick, Big Game, Muck, and Pitch Perfect 2, which I'm sure is my friend Bob's favourite film of the year.
Yeah, we're probably going to hear him in the background chiming in. If Bob's interested in chiming in, by all means, if he wants to join in the show, he's allowed to, as long as he doesn't swear.
Fantastic. Now, Bob won't swear, but if he does want to chime in, he is more than welcome. He's busy making his tea at the minute because he's been working. So, Infamy. Tell us about Infamy, Stu.
Not at the moment until we go over the Blu-ray and DVD top 10.
Oh, yeah.
Got it up on your screen.
So I'm just so eager to hear about Infamy. That's what I'm going to
Which you're going to have to wait because that's the last film I'm going to talk about.
Oh, you tease. Number 10, a film that I have still not seen, even though it's British, and I've not seen it, and you told me to watch it, and I have got it, but I've not watched it. The Theory of Everything.
I've constantly gone on about The Theory of Everything over the last month and a half, 2 months, and I was hoping that with you being on the show, we would have gotten a different standpoint, a different viewpoint on The Theory of Everything, but that's not going to be the case. It's Eddie Redmayne. He's got a new film coming out, The Danish Girl, which is out in the UK on the 1st of January 2016, on New Year's Day. It's sort of like an Oscar contention kind of film. This was The Theory of Everything as well, and so he's sort of like going for an Oscar every single year. Eddie Redmayne, and from what I can gather from The Danish Girl, there was an early review of it and it wasn't very positive, so we'll see what happens with The Danish Girl when it does come out. But The Theory of Everything is a fantastic film.
On number 9 we have a film which is not a follow-up to Babe or Babe Pig in the City, but it's got Luke Goss in it and it's called War Pigs,
and I haven't a clue what the film is about.
I think it's about pigs that shoot. No, it's not. I think it looks a bit Expendable-y, that type of thing. So who knows?
It's got Dolph Lundgren in it as well, from what I can see here. So it's very on the front of the box, it's got Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, you see, it is a bit Expendable. It's got Mickey Rourke in it. It's the Expendable connection and the Dolph Lundgren connection. So I'm sure
and
Stallone and whatnot's
the
in there.
The slogan underneath the poster says, "Victory is the only option." What? Wow. So losing isn't?
No, it's no option at all. Losing, not an option at all. Only victory.
Yeah.
No, number 8, we have The Age of Adeline.
Yeah, The Age of Adeline. I have yet to see this film. The Age of Adeline is centers around a woman who's involved in an accident and she doesn't age. So she constantly stays the age of 25. Andy thought the film itself was average. It's got a few decent performances in it, but it's average at best.
Wow. I mean, about somebody who stays the age of 25. Stu, would you like to remain the age of 25?
No, because I'm 35 on Friday, so that's not going to happen.
Bob, would you like to be 25 forever? Nope, he said no. I kind of would, but, never mind.
25 is not a good year, actually. I felt 25 was a bit boring.
Oh, no. You go back and just relive it again and again and spice it up and whatnot.
Groundhog Day, but more boring.
Exactly. And talking about more boring, number 7, 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, Charlie Hunnam was sort of upset that he wasn't the lead role in 50 Shades of Grey, that he had to pass on it because he was doing Sons of Anarchy. Yep. He was finishing that off. And so I'm sort of thinking that he dodged a big, massive bullet on
He
this front.
dodged a
because
hand grenade, yeah.
when you've got E.L. James involved with anything, she's obviously going to destroy it. Because from the stories that I read about the involvement that she had on 50 Shades of Grey, it was a movie that was supposedly turning out to be pretty decent. It was going to be up there with Secretary, which is a fantastically twisted movie. And it's brilliantly well told. It is about BDSM and sadomasochism and all that kind of stuff. But it's told brilliantly with James Spader, because he's obsessed with doing really weird movies like that. And Maggie Gyllenhaal, she's amazing in the film. But 50 Shades of Grey feels more like a Teletubbies version of Secretary.
I can't imagine the Teletubbies in 50 Shades of Grey, but now I am. So, yeah, thanks for that. Who knows? 50 Shades, the sequel, is going to be just as big a mess.
50 Shades Darker, it's called.
Exactly. 50 Shades Deleted, it should be, shouldn't it? So, are there actually 50 Shades of Grey as well? I don't know.
No, there's only one shade of grey, and that's grey.
That's grey, exactly. Number 6, we have Rise of the Krays, which, a question I've been asked a lot is, which one's better, Rise of the Krays or Legend? My answer is both, because they both cover, they're both about the Krays, but they both cover very different storylines of the Krays. The characters are kind of different. I mean, you've got the Tom Hardy show in Legend, but you've got Kevin Leslie and Simon Cotton playing who I still class as my definitive Krays. And I was a massive Gary and Martin Kemp fan when that film came out. But I do prefer Rise of the Krays to it. It focuses on a set time period. It is about the rise. Also, it is one half of a two-set movie. There is Fall of the Krays coming out, fingers crossed, later in the year or early next year. And I think if you watch that as like a full 3-hour movie marathon thing, it's going to be awesome. It's very, very brutal. The crazy one, I always get them mixed up. I never know whether it's Ronnie or Reggie. So I always just refer to them as the crazy one. Unless, of course, any friends of theirs are listening, in which case I think the Krays are amazing and lovely people. The crazy Kray is very scary in Rise of the Krays. It's very, very brutal. It doesn't glamorize them at all, nor should it. I mean, did you think Legend did? Do you think it kind of glamorized?
It did,
the Krays?
Because there was a scene in Legend which involved the American Mafia came over and they wanted the Krays to help them out, and I was thinking to myself, no, this is not the way the film should have been handled. It should have just centered around the Krays and their involvement in the London area where they're at. I'm not bothered about American Mafia getting involved in anything. I was more interested in the story of the Krays, and when you sort of started to see the nightclubs that they were involved in, it was more glamorized. It was more Vegas-esque, not grimy London-esque.
And that's where Rise of the Krays does do what you wanted it to do. It focuses on the sort of grounded level. It doesn't do the whole flashy nightclub type thing. It shows you that these guys are kind of nuts and that they're scary people and they're not all sort of surrounded by people who think they're amazing. Definitely. I mean, you've not seen it, but do check it out. It's really, really good.
Yeah, but by the sounds of it, I think I would like Rise of the Krays more than Legend.
Yeah.
And Legend, anyway, just brings up Tom Cruise and a devil rather than the Krays.
Yeah, it does. Tim Curry's not in this? No.
Yeah, I know he's not.
Cinderella at number 5.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lazy film, Cinderella. I just felt like it's a complete retelling of the 1940s Disney animated classic. And previous Cinderella stories have taken that as a sort of like a blueprint and built upon it or changed things around. Whereas this one, it doesn't do any of that at all. And so it's just a retelling of it, pretty much word for word. Cate Blanchett, I think she's the shining moment of the film. I think she plays the evil stepmother brilliantly. She plays it with such just grace and over the top. She's opulent as well with the dresses and things like that she's wearing. I think Cate Blanchett suits that kind of role. But the rest of the film is just very lazy.
Number 4, it's the Monday movie show, not the Monday TV show. So we'll quickly skip over the Big Bang Theory season 8, even though it's
which I'm a fan
very
of.
Funny. I'm a fan of it. I like it.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to diss the Big Bang Theory, but I still find it consistently funny.
Yeah. Number 3, we have, they do call it Avengers Assemble, but it's the Avengers. I hate that new title. I refuse to call it the Avengers Assemble. And Age of Ultron Double Pack. obviously because Age of Ultron is also released. Spoiler. Number
We'll get onto
2,
that in a moment.
Fast and Furious 7.
Which, have you seen it?
I saw this film at cinema. Really, really liked it. Thought they handled the Paul Walker departure as good as they could. They did a really, really good job of handling it. Some people say the film's a little bit jagged. Maybe there's a few jittery issues or whatever. But when your lead actor dies a large percentage of the way through, you're going to have problems. And I think they've done as well as they could do, rather than just reshooting the whole thing, which would have been a travesty if they did that.
Yeah, and getting a horror director in James Wan to do it as well, considering that this is sort of like a step away from what he's comfortable with. Because previously he did a film, Death Sentence, which was probably his least horror movie. But even that was like a grimy, gritty, nasty film. And so it's him to sort of like take a step away from his comfort zone and try to attempt. He's sort of like, in a way, he did a film alongside doing Fast and Furious 7, which was a small budget horror film called Demonic, which he produced. And so he was involved in that. And that was a horror film and sort of like very much like The Conjuring. And so he did that alongside Fast and Furious 7, very much like what Joss Whedon did with the previous Avengers film. He did Much Ado About Nothing. He shot that in his own home in the space of like a couple of weeks. And so he did something to sort of like small budget to ground himself. So he was back in a bit of a comfort zone for him. That's what James Wan did with this. But I still felt like this had too many characters. The characters were too much fighting against each other. It's only the last third of the film where he managed to reel them together. And it felt like a Fast and Furious movie. And I agree with you. The Paul Walker stuff is handled brilliantly. It's a touching moment. And no matter how many times you watch the film, you still cry. Even though Paul Walker, no offence, wasn't that much of a good actor.
No.
It doesn't matter if he was a bad actor, if he was a good actor. It's just the way it's handled. And you can see the passion and the way the characters play it through and the actors play it through, that he was a very important actor to them. And so you do feel that.
Number 1. It seems to have taken ages for this to come out for some weird reason. It must be because I watched it a long time ago. Avengers Age of Ultron. 2 words that you should watch this. James Spader. Get it watched. Yep. What did you think of Age of Ultron, Stu?
I thought it was not as good as Avengers Assemble.
Yep.
I thought the film itself was too messy. I just felt like it was slightly too all over the place. The bad guy, I didn't like Ultron. Even though out of all of the bad guys in the Marvel Universe, in the previous Marvel films, I think he's probably the better one out of the lot. I still think it suffers from Marvel's problems, where the bad guys are very flat and one-dimensional, and giving a robot a few sarcastic quips is not going to make an interesting bad guy. And I still think that the bad guy of this was not very well handled at all. The set pieces are fine. It's just, again, it's one of those movies where all of the characters are fighting against each other for screen time, because there's so many big characters in the Marvel Universe now. I'm not looking forward to the next Captain America film, because the amount of characters that's in that movie, it's just going to be an absolute mess of a movie if the Russos don't handle it well enough. And unfortunately, I'm glad that Whedon has gone away from the series now.
So is Whedon. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, he's producing them now.
Yep.
And so I'm glad that he's doing that, and hopefully he'll go back to doing something do something different. But yeah, I thought it was average. It's not the worst on the Avengers series or the Marvel series, but it's not the best.
No. And also that it was heavily cut as well, wasn't it? Apparently it was like a 3-hour cut.
Yeah, and speaking about films, I know that it's a Christmas kind of movie, but Get Santa is still yet to come out.
I know. What's all that about? I mean, I get why they probably wouldn't release that in June or July or whatever on DVD, but it's like, can we just have that out, please? I really want to watch it, which I know you've seen it. I haven't seen it.
And it was a movie, because I reviewed it for the show last year.
Yeah.
And it was a movie that I was not looking forward to at all. I was constantly saying, this is going to be Christopher Smith's worst film. I came out the film smiling. It's such a cheerful, happy movie. And so that I can't wait for people to see it on Blu-ray and DVD when it comes out in a couple of months' time. But yeah, I need to get you on the show. to see what you think about that. We need to actually review it in the horror show, considering that it's Christopher Smith, a horror director.
No, exactly, and it's going to be a similar thing when we do the next horror show, and we're talking about Vendetta with Dean Cain. It's not really a horror film, but it is the Soska sisters that did it, so we'll have to cover that on the horror show as well.
Yep. Right. Home releases. First up, nice sort of segue into a horror in a sort of musical term with Pitch Perfect 2. Directed by Elizabeth Banks, and it's the return of the Bellas after their successful outing in the first film. However, they haven't come over into the second film very well indeed, because an incident happens at a musical concert, which then throws the Bellas sort of like into turmoil, because they've sort of like been stripped of their crown as the best American choir, and so it's up to them to try and build their reputation back up. Unfortunately, they join a competition, a worldwide competition, and they have to go up against the Stoic Germans. Here's a clip.
Bart and Bellas, you came here to see us? Is it because you are, what do the American kids say, jelly?
We are so not jelly.
We should really thank you for making this tour a reality. You know, with your bumbling ineptitude. We should send them something. Fruit basket?
Yum, yum.
Or would you prefer mini muffins?
Okay, we didn't come here to start something with you guys. We just wanted to check you out before the Worlds, where we're gonna kick your ass.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. You are the kicker of ass?
Yeah.
You are so tiny. Like an elf. Or is it a fairy? Sprite. Wie heißt das Wort, das ich meine?
Troll.
That's it. You are like a troll.
You are physically flawless.
Thank you.
But it doesn't mean I like you.
We are not scared about the Worlds, because when the Bellas hit the stage, we are going to blow minds.
With what? More of Flabby Abby's baby shoot?
That's not my name.
I don't know your name. Could be anything. Obese Denise, Inflexible Tina, Lazy Susan.
My Name ist Fat Amy, and I eat krauts like you for lunch.
Your team is like how do you say that? A heated mess. You know, a mess where heat is applied to it, so what once was a little messy is now even messier.
So, if you're familiar with the Pitch Perfect series, you know what it's about. It's about a group of girls who giggle and laugh at each other, sort of like life stories, they learn lessons, they sing some songs, they take songs from present day and from, in this case, 70s, 80s and 90s, and glee them up. And that's pretty much the Pitch Perfect series. The first one was sort of like an entertaining film. It was handled pretty well. It was entertaining. The musical numbers was created quite nicely. It was an entertaining film. The second film just is lazy. It's a lazy sequel because the fact that the musical numbers are just so badly implemented into the film. They've got very stereotypical characters. They take the character of Fat Amy from the first one and just roll with her, no pun intended there, too much in Pitch Perfect 2 and make her sort of like front and centre, when she can't handle it that well at all. Rebel Wilson's the one who plays Fat Amy. And very one-dimensional character, considering that a character is called Fat Amy, so you would probably expect her to be 360 degrees.
Which, I can't believe you said that. Yep.
I know.
Bless you.
But she's very flat, and so the film itself just doesn't have the brilliance in a way, and the humour and the heart of the original one. It's sort of like, in a way, watching Sister Act 2 straight after watching Sister Act. Now, Sister Act is a guilty pleasure for me. I really enjoyed Sister Act because I love Whoopi Goldberg. And Sister Act 2 is sort of like a throwaway movie. That's the same with Pitch Perfect 2. It's the Sister Act 2 of the series. I don't think, even though Elizabeth Banks wants to do a third one, I don't think the scope or movement to make a third one. And I know if you look at the dance movie craze, well, we got 4 step-up movies, 5 of them.
Yeah, you just wish there were 4.
And unfortunately, I've seen all 5.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah,
not back to back, I hope.
No, I don't know why, but I've been I've been stuck with watching these dance movies, so I've seen all of these dance films. And
you need to have words with Andy. I think you need to sort of shake it up a bit.
Yeah, I think I get the sort of like the short straw, because I get dance movies, I get really bad comedies, and so he gets superhero films. I get horrors though, and animated films, so at least I get the best from that. But he gets superhero films, and so unfortunately, Pitch Perfect 2 is nowhere near as good as the first one.
But you will get a third one, because the second one made tons and tons of money.
I hope not, because I don't want to spend another minute with the Bellas, with all of their actors and all that stuff.
No, and I think they need to do it fast, otherwise Rebel Wilson's going to be like, 76 years old or something? Because she's pushing mid-30s or whatever at the minute.
Yeah, she's going to be 76-year-old and probably 76 stone. So
she will.
She seems to grow larger with her age. Which, if that's the case, she can double for the boulder from Indiana Jones.
She is becoming the bigger rebel as the years go on. Yeah.
She is turning into Jabba the Hutt.
Oh.
And on that note, I'll move on to John Wick.
Yes, move on to John.
No, I better not actually call Keanu Reeves from John Wick Jabba the Hutt or Chewbacca or anything like that.
He'll kill you.
Yeah, considering that he goes after people in John Wick for killing his dog.
Yeah.
So if somebody does that for killing his dog, then you're in trouble. He's sort of like, he will scare the hell out of Liam Neeson from the Taken series. And that's pretty much the premise of John Wick. He was a mob hitman. He quits, and then 5 years later, he's lost his wife, and his dog has been killed, and so he ultimately seeks retribution. And in this clip, I think this is actually one of the funniest moments of the film, because it's got dark humour in it. You've got John Leguizamo's character. He's had a phone call from one of the main bad guys, and this is his reaction.
Aurelio speaking.
I heard you struck my son.
Yes, sir, I did.
Yeah, may I ask why?
Yeah, well, because he stole John Wick's car, sir, and killed his dog.
Oh.
And so that's sort of like a little humorous moment of the film itself. But the film, ultimately, is a dark, brutal movie. And Keanu Reeves sort of like stepped out the limelight for a little while, didn't he? And then he came back and did this.
I remember when I heard that there was this film coming out called John Wick, and Keanu Reeves was an ex-hitman who goes berserk and comes out of his retirement because they kill his dog. I thought, that is the most bonkers premise I have ever heard. This is the dumbest idea since Snakes on a Plane. But you watch the film and it works perfectly. I spoke to, I think it was Fraser, who said there's no way that it can be a good film. And I'm like, seriously, the dog thing makes perfect sense. And the fact that the dog dies is kind of perfect as to why John Wick goes on the rampage a la Liam Neeson style in Taken. It makes perfect sense. It's easily Keanu Reeves' best character. I'd put it up there with Jack Traven from Speed and obviously Johnny Utah from Point Break. And I think he's better than Neo from The Matrix, actually. John
Neo
Wick's
was
awesome.
A bland, boring character.
He kind of
sort
was.
of like he was an automaton with the brain taken out. It was just very empty. He was just there to speak like a robot.
Definitely up there with Speed and Point Break, though, for Keanu Reeves' roles. Brilliant. I know Bob's going to go like, Johnny Mnemonic, but no.
Nobody likes Johnny Mnemonic apart from Bob by the sound
Bob
of things.
loves Johnny Mnemonic. He thinks it's great, but he's wrong, so it's terrible.
Yeah, he's definitely wrong on that front. But yeah, John Wick is a dark film. It is sort of like a return in form for Keanu Reeves, because like I said, he did step out the limelight, and we were interested to see what he did next. And he did John Wick and Knock Knock, which is not a very good film at all. No. But I sort of like forgive him for Knock Knock because of John Wick, because it is it's a very well played role from him, and I think only Keanu Reeves could have handled it.
Yeah, because Liam Neeson had kind of already done that type of character I really want to see a crossover. I want to see Liam Neeson from Taken. I want to see Jason Bourne from obviously the Bourne movies. And I want to see John Wick. And I want to see Denzel from the Equalizer all teaming up and going on the rampage because somebody's killed a goldfish or something.
Yeah, well, I don't want to see the Equalizer anything to do with Denzel Washington's character from that ever again because that movie is god-awful. But the only weak point I would see about John Wick is, and again, this is the bad guy problem, is how stereotypically created the bad guy is. Michael Unkrist, who plays the bad guy in the film, it's just flat. We've seen it before. We've seen it in multiple films, and there isn't any dimension to him. There is nothing different for the bad guy. But you sort of forgive that in a way, because the way the film is actually told, it's directed by Chad Stahelski, and I think he actually handles the film better than what previous directors like Taken and all that kind of stuff has done, because he realizes we need a ridiculous premise, but we need to go with this ridiculous premise, and we need to make Retribution not just about this ridiculous premise, but because of the fact that his character is being pushed so much close to the edge that the loss of his dog is the last straw, and it's the thing that sort of like flipped the switch in his brain. And he just got, I've had enough of this. That's it. I'm going to take retribution for absolutely everything that's gone wrong.
I think anybody who thinks it's a loony premise, watch the film and then you will change your mind and you go, actually, I totally understand the premise now. It worked.
Whereas the next film, Big Game, it's a loony premise which doesn't work.
No.
Directed by Halmar Helander, who did Rare Exports. Now, I really loved Rare Exports. Rare Exports is one of the best Christmas films I've ever seen. Horror-wise as well, it goes up alongside things like Gremlins. I watch it every year now, and there is a film coming out which I cannot wait for, Krampus. The trailer was released, and I loved the trailer.
Can I ask a question about Krampus? I got a screener through the other day for a film, and it's handwritten on this. It's coming out from High Flyers, and the film is called Krampus the Christmas Angel. Is that the same Krampus?
No.
Oh.
This Krampus is not out until the 4th of December in the UK cinemas. And this Krampus is directed by Michael Dougherty, who did Trick or Treat. So yeah, it's not that Krampus.
I'm going to rush home tonight and check the credits, and if it's by Michael Dougherty, I'll be like, nah. I'll let you know.
No, it's just Krampus is just called Krampus. There is no subtitle to it in anywhere across the world, neither.
Okay.
So it is just called Krampus. I think we're the first country to get it. But there is stories about Krampus, and so obviously it'll be released alongside that, just to sort of like very much same with Legend. And Rise of the Craze, so just to tie in with that. But Big Game, like I said, directed by Halmar Helander, who did Rare Exports. And in this one, it centers around Samuel L. Jackson. Probably the perfect person to play a president, very much Obama-esque. And Oni Tom Tamila, who was in Rare Exports. And Oni Tamila plays a little boy, 12-year-old boy, who lives in a sort of like a place in the middle of nowhere with his parents, and his father, as a coming-of-age thing, when they reach the 12th birthday, sends them out into the wilderness, and they've got to fend for themselves for 24 hours to try and hunt down the biggest beast they can find. Now, what happens, though, is that his character comes across the president, like I said, who's played by Samuel Jackson, and it's up to Oni and to try and protect the president, to try and get him to safety, because a group of terrorists want him dead. Here's a clip.
President, you okay?
Oh, how the hell did I survive that? And where are my soldiers? I'm the commander of the biggest, baddest, ass-kicking armed force on the planet. Why aren't they scouring this wilderness trying to rescue me?
There's no one to help us. Not my dad, or not your army. We have to help ourselves. Instead of looking tough, we have to be tough.
Right.
Now, the thing with Big Game is what the director did with Rare Exports is he did the rare thing in the fact that he mixed comedy with horror, but it worked. because the horror in Rare Exports is pretty gruesome. Seeing old men, naked old men, as elves is a pretty sort of like thing where you want to just get washing up liquid and rub it into your eyes and clean your eyes, because it's just such a sight that you don't want to see. In Rare Exports, obviously there is no naked elf men in this. Naked elf men that are like 6 foot tall. But there is none of that. It's just Samuel L. Jackson cheesing it up to no end, very much like Snakes on a Plane, with bad guys, terrorists, trying to kill him, and this little boy who's his only saviour. And it's very stupidly tongue-in-cheek, but it's not handled very well at all. Normally tongue-in-cheek movies, they need to sort of like go along with the joke because it needs to realise that it is a jokey kind of movie. It never needs to take itself seriously. Whereas this film, it doesn't, again, it's like previous films we've talked about on this week's show. It doesn't know where its tone is. It doesn't know how to handle its tone. And so, unfortunately, even though I went into the cinema expecting something very brain dead and very entertaining, I came out of it after seeing this, because I saw it in the cinema, I thought to myself, that was brain dead. It wasn't entertaining.
Oh God, it doesn't look entertaining. Does not look entertaining at all. Nope.
I'm sort of like, I'm thinking I'm eager for you to actually see it, but you're not eager to see
Yeah,
it.
no, I remember seeing the adverts on the side of buses and thinking, I like Samuel Jackson, but I have no interest in watching him running around some kid with a bow and arrow, unless it's the Hunger Games. But nope, I'm like, no. That's one of those films I thought, Netflix, that'll do. When it's on for free on Netflix, I might watch half of it, see what it's all about.
And then you'll switch it off after you see the thumbnail, go, nope, I'm still not watching it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Right, last two films of the night. They're the small movies of the week. Infamy first up. It's also released in selected cinemas. So if you have a small cinema or an independent cinema, there's a chance that they might be showing it. But it's such a small release, I think it'd probably only be shown in like 10 screens or something like that. That's the reason why it's gone to DVD as well. But it's a science fiction film, very much in the guise of things like Event Horizon, which I really like. And it centres around, it's this very weird term. There's a term called infamy in the film where human matter can be transported across the universe in split second, but the time dilation when you transfer somebody's body is different. So on the Infamy, which is the ship itself, where they get transported to at the end of the universe, the time difference between what it is happening on there, so 1 second on there, is very much like more than a couple of hours in the present day. And so the more time you spend there, the more time flies by on Earth. And a group of soldiers are sent to this space station at the edge of the universe to try and discover what happened to it. Because a virus broke out and supposedly killed the crew and infected people left on the crew because it involves air, the oxygen that they breathe. And so it changes them, the air and the blood. It's not very good. It's not very well handled. It doesn't understand its rules. When you set a movie about time travel, it needs to establish rules and you need to follow that. It doesn't do that. When it gets to the ship itself, it tries to be creepy and dark, like things like Event Horizon and even Pandorum at a push. And it never gets anywhere near them. Pandorum's sort of like a poor man's Event Horizon, but it's still an entertaining film. Directed by, I think it's Jeremy Bold who directed Pandorum, who's worked alongside Paul W.S. Anderson on previous films, and Anderson did Event Horizon, so he was sort of like copying his mentor in a way. Yep. But yeah, Infamy is a poor man's Event Horizon, a poor man's Pandorum, which is a shame because I like those kind of films, but it's not handled very well at all.
Boo. I may skip that one as well then.
And
you saved me a lot of time here, it's good.
Yeah, I actually want you to watch the final film of the week because it's horror related. Infamy is science fiction, so it's got horror roots. But I would love you to watch it for the horror show from Page to Screen when we do it in a few weeks' time.
Okay, that would be Muck. Yeah.
Yes, the film itself starts off halfway into a movie. So you feel like when you start the film, you feel like, what? Is there something wrong with this film? Have I missed something? But yeah, it starts off halfway in the film and it ends sort of like halfway into a movie.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, Muck, it centers around a group of stop me if you've heard this before. It centers around a group of teenagers who are in the woods 2 of them are being killed. 4 of them are sort of like fighting with each other. They seek shelter in a house, and these guys come and kill them.
Okay. Yep.
You've heard that before.
Yep.
All the actors are concentrating in this film, and all the director is concentrating on this film is to try and put as many boobs as he possibly can in it. Boobs from the literal sense and the physical sense and every kind of sense, because the actors are complete boobs. I wish I could use more harsher words, but they are complete boobs. There is a lot of nudity in the movie. There was just an excuse for the director to sort of like, he makes Michael Bay look like a guy who hands out lollipops to kids. Because this guy is just lecherous beyond belief. There is a scene in the film where this woman has a never-ending bag that's full of lingerie, and it just concentrate on her for 5 minutes, just trying different lingerie on.
I'm fine with that. I think Bob would be all right with that film where a woman's just trying lots of different lingeries on.
It's a horror film, for God's sake. You're supposed to see people...
Bob's nodding. He wants to watch that film.
No, he doesn't. because when the horror happens, it's just, you can't see anything.
Oh.
I think the director forgot to put money in the meter, because there is no light in the movie at all. It's just all dark, and I was squinting like mad to try and see what was happening, and there was just girls just taking off their bikinis and then screaming. There is literally this scene where one of the female characters in the film itself,
Bob the film, or me for that matter. You just said there was a scene where girls are literally taking off their bikinis. We want to watch this movie.
No, you don't.
We do.
One of the female actors in the movie, she is down to her bra and panties. She's been chased by one of the evil characters. She ends up killing the evil character by skewering him with a rod through his chest. Then she runs about 5-6 steps forward, and a sprinkler switches on. A sprinkler in an area where it's a boggy swamp switches on.
As you do.
And it's just an excuse for them to do the...
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of scene.
But you did actually say I need to watch this for the next horror show, so I'll probably... What I might do is just pick the DVD up, and then I'll bring it up to Bob's, and we can both watch this film. He's up for that. He's a good horror fan. Yeah.
It's horrible.
It doesn't sound like a top 10 movie, but it doesn't sound like a horror. No, that's what he said. It doesn't sound like a horror film, which is pretty much not
it's
what
sort
it
of
is.
like you would have forgiven it if it was like a Piranha kind of film.
Yeah,
you know, like the Piranha series, because it realised it uses sex with horror really well. The Piranha movies. I really liked Alexander Aja's remake of Piranha. I think it's better than the original, better than Toby Hooper's original. So it's. I can't understand why this movie was made. It's horrendous. It is really horrendous. It's in my worst films of the year.
Ooh, ouch.
But
how many films have you got in the worst list so far?
I've got 8 in my best. In my worst list, I've got about 80.
Wow.
So, it's just... It's a why. How did this film get funded? Actually, I know how this film got funded. It originally started off as a Kickstarter campaign where the guy was launched a Kickstarter campaign to try and get his original idea funded. That got partially funded, so he didn't go along with that one. He used the money from that Kickstarter campaign, went to as many studios as possible that would give him some kind of funding. He got some basic funding from some studios, and he made the movie that way.
Wow. Do you think there'll be a Muck 2? Or 2 Muck? Possibly.
But the film ends sort of like halfway into what a film would end. And so you would expect a Muck 2, but there's no... The Muck 2 sounds like either country in India or a Pokemon.
Do you think the second one, if you wrote it, you would call it Muck Off? Possibly.
Yes, please. Muck Off.
Yes, that's the sequel.
You'll be an idiot to watch Muck 2. Oh,
Yes.
Muck. It's off. It's horrendous. It's really horrendous. And that's it for this week's show. This week's new releases anyway. I'm glad I'm done and dusted with it.
Yep.
This would be the part where we do TV movies of the week, but because you're a guest host, you don't have any.
No, but I would say make sure you catch up on This Is England 90, which is an adaptation of a movie So maybe I can sandwich that one in. Part 2 was on the other day. There's 2 more. Watch that one.
Yeah, I have not seen any parts of any of the This Is England.
Have you seen the film This Is England?
Nope.
Oh, you need to watch This Is England. That's when we need to start setting homework for each other. So that we can probably not do it.
Considering you're very rarely on this show, I don't think that would work.
No. But it would work for the other shows.
Yeah, it possibly would, but yeah. I've got a couple of films. They're on the same night, so that's helpful, and they're on one after each other. And you might agree with one of them. The other one, I don't know if you'll have seen it, but on Friday the 25th of September, which is my birthday, at 11:25 on Film 4, Source Code.
Oh, good film. Yep.
Fantastic film directed by Duncan Jones. It's a movie that uses time travel and all that kind of stuff, and it uses it smartly. Jake Gyllenhaal, an actor I adore. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a fantastic actor, and it's a very intelligent film. Straight after that, you've got a horror film, an Irish horror film called Isolation.
I've not seen that one. No.
Which I really like. It's a small little Irish horror film about cows that are infected with this disease. But I think it's really well handled. It's very creepy and very nasty. So yeah, good double bill there. But that's very late at night though, 11:25, and then Isolation's on at 1 o'clock. So you need to be up. You need to be a bit of a night owl to watch those two. But highly recommended.
Yep.
And this would be the part of the show where I would ask for your movie of the week, but if you say
no, not at all. The movie of the week that you've reviewed, I really like John Wick. It's got to be so much fun. I want to watch it again, which is pretty good. But do check out Rise of the Krays because it's awesome.
Yeah, and I would have to say Everest. I think Everest is probably the strongest out of the films that I've reviewed this week.
I would have to say Everest. I'm going to now call it that. And then people go, why are you pronouncing it wrong? And I'll be able to educate them. Actually, you're pronouncing it wrong. It's not called Everest.
Listen to the Monday Movie Show. You'll understand why.
Exactly. You get humour, you get reviews, and you learn stuff.
Yeah, direct people to my show, and you can do that by sending them to the website, which is mondaymovieshow.co.uk, or Facebook, facebook.com/Monday Movie Show, or even Twitter @Monday Movie Show. I'm on there at Cryptic Tadpole, and you're on there.
That's From Page to Screen. I've already directed the people from Rise of the Krays to your show about 15 minutes ago, saying I've just been chatting about their movie. So hopefully they'll give it a check out.
And where can people find you as well?
People can generally either find me sat in front of a TV, catching up on all the films, or playing my new PlayStation 4. I've got myself a PS4. Sorry, I'm having one. So I've got Destiny, Mad Max, and Alien Isolation that I've got on disc. I've started playing Destiny. It's awesome. Alien looks quite good, very, very slow, but I guess that's the point. And Mad Max is pretty much Grand Theft Auto set in an apocalyptic world. But no, people can find me on Twitter at From Page to Screen, on Facebook for exactly the same. Pretty much, put me into Google, you'll find me there. That's where I live.
Yeah. Do you have a gamer tag on your PlayStation 4?
I do. My gamer tag, which I thought was From Page to Screen, but for some weird reason it isn't. My gamer tag is actually my full name. So Stuart Bannerman, no spaces, nothing like that. And you'll find me on the PlayStation. I have a PS Vita, PS3, PS1 and a PS4.
Yeah, and people can find me on PlayStation 4 as Cryptic Tadpole 1 because I forgot my login details for Cryptic Tadpole. So I am Cryptic Tadpole 1. On PlayStation 4, but I've had mine since launch. Since
I
November
shall
2013.
add you once I get my internet.
Yeah, so brilliant. But we're not here to talk about video games. We're at the end of the show for movies. But thank you, Stuart, for joining me. You filled in for Andrew because he got married on Friday.
Yes, thank you, Stu, for having me. Join you.
So congratulations to Andrew and Kat, his new wife. Andrew should hopefully be back on next week's show. I don't know what kind of state I will be in. I might be back. I might be slurring my speech badly, and I might not have seen any films whatsoever because, as I've indicated already, it is my birthday on Friday. If people want to send me birthday messages, please do so at Cryptic Tadpole on Twitter. And so I'm away for the weekend. I'm going away to meet up with a few friends who it's one of my friends' birthdays as well. And so let's just say I'm going to be seeing through beer goggles for about 48 to 60 hours.
Nice. And as a celebration for your birthday on Friday, Stu, Annette and I are going to fly off to Mexico for 2 weeks all-inclusive holiday. So you're welcome.
Thank you for that. I don't know whether the present is in that, but
in fact, what I'm going to do is I will do this. I've got the Monday Movie Shows downloaded on my iPod. I'm actually going to sit on a beach in Mexico and play it through a speaker. So your
You're
Monday
gonna
movie
sit
show, yep, it
in
will
the
be
beach.
played in Mexico. I'm going to sit in the beach. Actually, going to dig a
In the
hole
beach.
and in
Yeah,
it.
just-
Yes.
And that's going to dig you into a hole, throw a speaker in there, and just people are going to hear the Monday movie show blowing
They
up from
will.
the sand.
So that's something that your listeners can do. What is the most exotic place or the most unusual place that your show has ever been listened to? So Mexican beaches are the benchmark. So let's see who can beat that one.
Yes, please. That's an interesting premise. Throw it my way, Cryptic Tadpole on Twitter, and I check that more so than I do at Monday Movie Show. But they're the best places to throw you. We will play you out with a clip from a film that's out in a couple of weeks' time. I think with you being away on holiday, you'll miss this movie, but I'm guessing you're really eager to see it, and you'll probably go to see it when you get back. But it's Ridley Scott's new film, The Martian.
Yes, Bob and I were just chatting about The Martian. We want to watch that.
Yeah, it's out on the 30th of September in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll play you out with a clip from The Martian. And so, until next week for me, goodbye, and I don't know when Stuart will be back. We'll try and rope you into the end of the year show, because we're trying to get Following the Nerd involved in that, so we might as well just have everybody who's been involved with the Monday Move Show together in a big, huge, massive round table show where we all explain what the best and worst films of the year are.
Exactly.
So we'll hopefully get you, and Bob can be involved in that as well. We'll give him a microphone, he's able to speak rather than just having a few words in the background.
We will. We'll get Bob roped in. Definitely.
So anytime, we'll do it this way from now on. Anytime when you need to fill in for Andrew, if you want to bring Bob into the show, that's fine by me.
Deal.
I think 3 people are better than 2, and definitely better than 1.
Definitely.
So until next week's show, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Right. Let's do the math. Our service mission here was supposed to last 31 souls. For redundancy, they sent 68 souls worth of food. That's for 6 people. So for just me, that's going to last 300 souls, which I figure I can stretch to 400 if I ration. So I got to figure out a way to grow 3 years worth of food here on a planet where nothing grows. Luckily, I'm a botanist. Mars will come to fear my botany powers.